So here we are again for another interesting interview about the wonderful Lesley Hall, and here we have her brother Frank Hall Bentick, and it's fantastic to be joined by you. Thank you so much for joining me, Frank. You're doing well today?
Yeah, thanks, and thanks for involving us in the interviews.
No. I really think this is something that might be repeated. Let's hope over some time, so we can get to know the woman behind the famous term Lesley Hall, and so a whole new generation can find out about her wonderful activism and skills. Okay, so the first question is, what were Lesley's motivations and why did she do what she did? In other words, I'm talking about her actions, her involvement in governance, and starting the organisation she did. And you would know the answers to these questions perhaps better than anybody else. So Frank, let fly.
Les was a fierce advocate for the rights of women, and particularly the rights of women with disabilities. She from, I suppose, the late school years to uni years, she participated in a lot of women's groups, particularly fighting around the rights of women and trying to empower women to feel as though that they had something to offer, and to try and attain equality throughout society for them. So Les was fierce about that, and that boiled over into work with in the disability area, and also particularly women with disabilities. So she did that quite a number of years.
Yeah, and I understand she did. And the internet web pages the few internet web pages that are written about her detail blow after blow after blow of amazing work that she did. But I really wanted to hear about what motivated, like what was her heartfelt instigation? What drove her to do those things, Frank? Especially because we're talking about the early 80s here. We're talking about when people with disabilities disabled people were not front and center in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah. Well, I suppose it began earlier than that. I mean, that's particularly when the her disability work started. I suppose it was just reading a number of feminists coming out of the 60s and early 70s and their work, in believing that if she and others didn't start to do something about that, then another generation would be lost to inequality. So she was her work around feminism began much earlier than her work in disability. So.
Of course. So it was it's a personal drive, really.
Yes.
Of course, understandably. So also, Lesley was passionate about supporting artists. Why do you think she was so passionate about this in particular?
Well, Les had something that I'm afraid I don't have. But that's a sort of a leaning towards the music, poetry. She was always very keen on music. She back late 70s, early 80s, she was involved in a small group. She played electronic keyboard.
Cool.
She always had a piano at her home to practice. And also during that time, she took up things like being in choirs, tap dancing. She always got a, I suppose, a kick out of being involved with other women. Usually those groups are around some sort of feminist approach to bringing women together to empower them through music or through dance. So she was very keen on that.
I so wish I would have met her. I so wish I would have met her. I feel like I would have had a kindred spirit in her.
Oh, yeah, certainly. Yeah, yeah.
Wonderful. And what do you think her message would be to artists today, Frank?
I suppose the, Les was always keen on people having a go, but she also wanted to see people's work, and particularly this is her involvement with Arts Access, to strive to try and, I suppose, empower other people, but also to just trying to think of how to explain it, to where people were disadvantaged, to try and explain that to a wider audience, and she wanted the artists to, through showing that how people were challenged or disempowered, to bring on the communicate that to a wider audience, and so that the artist would use that to empower others,
Yeah.
I suppose, to get them to take action around a particular issue.
I see arts as the ultimate alternative communication device. Really, it's a messaging board of a whole different language, and the arts provides that. So, do you see her involvement in the arts as a subversive action?
No, I wouldn't say subversive. I'd say overt.
Overt, of course.
She wanted to be upfront about that involvement, and using those forum to communicate a message of empowerment, and particularly for disadvantaged people, particularly women and women with disabilities.
I suppose my usage of that word was to utilize the arts as a way of bringing her message forward in a way that was overt, but used subversion as its motivation. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She wanted to bring that to the fore,
yeah,
rather than it be behind the scenes.
Yes, obvious. But she was somebody who worked behind the scenes quite actively, though.
Oh yeah, certainly. She was very supportive of others, and rarely took a front role. She would like others to. She'd support others to take on those roles. But when you were to use subvertive, it's sort of a her involvement in this was more to empower people rather than to white-hand people, I suppose.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, so that's.
Thank you very much, Frank. I do think this will be a conversation that we might continue down the track, so that not even down the track, but down the track of even the application process for Lesley Hall, just so that we can continue raising awareness around these things.